Hey there, in today's video I'm going to show you how I make this artisan bread. I make it almost every single day and it's actually really easy. I'm going to give you my step-by-step instructions. It's just a really simple way that you can have fresh bread every single day for sandwiches or snacking or whatever. If you're the type of person who is intimidated by the thought of making bread, just watch this video. You'll see it's actually really simple. Here we go. This bread requires no kneading. You don't have to watch over it like you do with other bread, and it's really delicious. In the evening, I just throw together the recipe, which is 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 3/4 of a teaspoon of yeast, and 2 cups of water. You can see I mix the dry ingredients together first before I dump in the water, and then I just mix it up here till it's a wet dough. You know, you don't have to knead it or anything like that. I will have the ingredients listed down in the description box below if you want to go check that out, screenshot it, or whatever you want. And at this point also, I like to add sometimes couple teaspoons of garlic powder, maybe a little rosemary. It depends how you want it flavored, or you can just leave it plain like I did. That's what I do most of the time. If you want to add cheese or something like that, you can fold it in the next morning. And then I just set it in the oven. This is a cool oven, not hot or anything, and I just leave it overnight. It's ideal to have it in there about 12 to 16 hours. I usually wind up doing less than 12 hours and it works out just fine for me. And then I go ahead and get the oven preheated. While it is preheating, I put the Dutch oven in there to preheat with the oven, and then I get my bread ready. At this point, I just lay out a piece of parchment paper and sprinkle some flour on that, actually quite a bit of flour. And then I like to sprinkle some flour on the surface of the dough as well. As you can see, this is a very sticky, wet dough. That's totally normal. That's what it's supposed to look like. At this point, I just scrape the dough out with my hand. You could use one of those dough spatulas if you have it. And then I stretch and fold the dough over itself to kind of make it into a neat little round ball as much as possible. And then I just carefully, it doesn't have to be perfect, maneuver it around to get the dough flipped over so that these uneven kind of uglier edges are on the bottom. And then you see I have quite a bit of extra flour here. I usually do. And then I kind of just put the flour on top of the dough and flick the parchment paper up so the flour goes up there some, and then I go ahead and get my Dutch oven out and carefully place it in there. This dough will rise a bit in the oven, which you'll see. I have also done it before where I cut some designs on top, but I prefer just letting it do its own thing, and the dough will split where it splits, and I find that it really doesn't make much of a difference aesthetically. So anyway, I bake that covered in the oven for 40 minutes at 440, and then once that time is up, I open up the oven, take the lid off the Dutch oven, remember to use your oven mitts, and then I bake that for 13 minutes uncovered. You could do 15 and the edges of the dough will be a little, or the edges of the bread will be a little bit crispier, but I just find that I like it just a little under 15 minutes. So 13 works perfectly for me. And this is how it turned out. I normally don't cut it when it's still hot, but I did have to on this day because my husband and son were headed out the door for a trip and I was trying to make them sandwiches. And this is how it looks when it's all done. You could just spread some butter on it and have it warm. It's really delicious that way. Or like I said, we use it for sandwiches sometimes as well. Thanks for watching and I hope this helped. Ouch. Oh, it's recording.